So today we are going to discuss the problem named scoped bean problem. So there is a condition when we are creating the singleton beans, which means only one instance will be created with the whole application. So in some scenario, we need to create the prototype bean from the singleton bean. So that means for every time it will create the new instance whenever it is used. So that prototype bean will behave like a singleton bean. So that problem will be solved by at lookup annotation. So let's see how we will create the scenarios and we will resolve the issue. So this is my sample application. This is the components. I'm using Spring 3.5.11 version and dependencies. I'm using web dependencies and test. In the application.yaml file, there is nothing but only the application name. Now let's create one folder. Suppose I'm creating one folder, test folder. And I will create one class which is a prototype bean. Mark it as a component. In this, we will add that annotation, scope name prototype. This is my prototype bean. Whenever it is used, Spring container will create new object. Similarly, I will create one singleton bean. This is a singleton bean. So its default scope as a singleton. So we no need to add the annotation, scope annotation. So let's create one runner class. So this is my runner class. What I will do, I will print that object from the application context and see how it is working. Implements. So this is my run method. Let's auto this application context. In that application context, let me create one object, basically two objects, prototype being the class. It will provide me the object of that prototype being. So here I am creating two beans object, and I will print that. Let's see the address of that both object. So this is the base statement. Let me start this server. Okay. Before that, I will make this as a component so that it will be registered in the Spring context. Now, if we see here, these both objects are different. So every time it is used, Spring container will create new objects. So let's print that singleton object and see. how it behaves. What I will do here is I will copy this line, make that singleton being 1 and singleton being. So this is it for the first object. Similarly, I will print statements. Let's print that I'm restarting my server. Here if you see, this is the singleton objects. So Spring container will register only one address whenever it doesn't matter how many number of time we are using the singleton object, it will always create single memory address. It will create one memory address and refer all the objects to this address. Now let's see the where the real problem is arise. So here I'm using the independently prototype beings and singleton being. But in production scenario, we have some conditions like when we have to use the prototype bean from the singleton bean. So let's see how we are using. Now suppose I'm auto-wiring prototype bean and I'm just simply create one print message. Print prototype bean. And I will do nothing like I will just print that. Now what I will do, I will call that methods. B. I'm just simply calling a method. Like that. Okay. Now let's see how the behavior will go. Now here is a third scenario. If you see here, prototype bean is worked as a singleton bean, but we don't want this because this is our prototype bean. So every time the prototype bean will be used, always Spring has to create the new object. So basically, when we are using that prototype bean from that singleton bean, so it will only create at one time whenever the container will start. So let's see how we will overcome this issue. To use that, we need to use that at lookup annotation. Suppose I'm using this, what it will do, it will return me prototype B. From here, I will return null. So what this line number 17 to line number 20 will do. So it will use this CGLIB proxy internally. Whenever Spring Container will check this annotation, what it will do, it will internally create that proxy class of that B, and with the return null, it will return that prototype B. So whenever it will use, it will do the same thing for every time. So that every time we will get that new object. Let's see. I'm restarting my server. So if we see here now, mm, no, yeah, to print that we need to use this one, this method. So this method will return always a fresh fee. So if we see here, we have both different object addresses. So whatever we will use, it will create every time the new fresh object and register the new memory. So and if you see here, this is a Spring CGLib class. This is a proxy class whenever we are using the at lookup. So it will create one proxy class and with the help of reflection, it will change that return type null to prototyping. So this is how we are overcome this issue to use that prototype bean from the singleton bean. This is a today's topic. Thank you. Thank you for watching.